Hey guys, what's up? It's Travis back for another video. And today it's going to be a story time, and I'm going to be talking about the time that I could have died. And that rooster needs to shut up. Anyways, you guys are probably thinking I'm exaggerating. Oh, he couldn't have died, this and that, but it was actually a really serious situation. So, about last year, 8th grade year, it was like 2 weeks after school started, August 26th, I rolled a Polaris RZR and broke my left arm. As you can see, there's scarring. I broke my left arm, both bones, and if it wasn't for me wearing a helmet and a seatbelt, I probably wouldn't be here today. As soon as I rolled that, which I was going a little too fast, but, you know, what teenage kid wouldn't go fast? I was going like 50, 55, somewhere around there. And I was drifting a lot. I did it many times. I didn't think anything would happen. Anyways, I'm coming around. I'm on a straight stretch. I'm going down, and the next thing I know, I hit this curve, and I've done it 5 times before. I hit it, and the next thing I know, I'm tumbling. And the only thing going through my mind is, am I going to die? Thankfully I didn't. Obviously, I'm making this video for you guys, which is good. But what did happen to me is, as soon as I rolled that, gas started leaking all over me. So I'm like, shoot, I gotta get out of this thing. So I had to unbuckle, turn it off, and then climb through the top, all while I have a broken arm. So this is where we're at. It's rolled, it's on its side, I got gas leaking on me, and I gotta get out. That's where I'm at. The adrenaline is just pumping, and I didn't even know I had a broken arm at the time. I mean, you'd think I did, because most of you guys watching, you guys know how bad it was. Anyways, I got out, and I had to walk a pretty good distance back to the house. So, I got back to the house, and the first person I yell for is my friend's mom, okay? I'm saying her name, and she's like, what? And I'm like, I just wrecked, there's gas all over me, I think my arm's broke, I can't feel it, I can't move it, it's scratched up, like, my arm was bad, it was mangled, okay? And she's like, alright, let's sit you down, get you an ice pack, put you on the couch. And I'm like, no, like, this is bad. So she calls my dad. My dad and my sister are heading to lunch because me and my brother are over at my friend's. So my dad and my sister headed to lunch. My dad immediately comes there, and they were going to call an ambulance, but they didn't end up doing that because they didn't want to wait. So my dad drove me himself. I got in the back of his truck. We drove to Mount Orb. There, they cleaned me up. They stabilized my arm. That really just shut up. They stabilized my arm. Put me in a sling and all that. And then it was the journey to Children's. That was not the best journey by any means. Yeah, I'm stabilized. It's Mount Orb Hospital, so you guys can imagine that. But yeah, it was horrible. The journey there from Mount Orb to Cincinnati was the worst pain that I've ever felt. It was hitting all those bumps and everything. So once I got to Cincinnati Children's, I went to the ER first thing. They got me back. I had he was like I don't really know what he was. He wasn't a doctor, but he was training to be one. So what they tried to do that night, the night of August 26th, 2017, they tried resetting my arm in the ER. Shut up! Which means they tried putting me to sleep, taking my arm and snapping it back into place, okay? They tried snapping it back into place. And unfortunately, they couldn't get it that way. The bones just wouldn't stay. So I spent the night in the hospital that night. And the hospital was really, really packed, so I'm not going to blame them for this. But I spent the night, and the next morning I was supposed to have surgery, right? Okay. So I hardly didn't get any sleep. I couldn't eat because they had me scheduled for surgery. And because the nurses kept coming back in, that's why I couldn't get any sleep. And the next morning at 7 a.m., the doctors told me I wasn't having surgery today. I was like, okay. And my mom and dad were confused. They all told us that it'd be today, and it wasn't. So we go on. We're at the hospital for another day. I still can't eat. So they're just pumping IVs into me. So the next day, I still barely got any sleep that night. I got maybe 2 hours of sleep because the nurses kept having to come back in, make sure my arm was steady, make sure the IV was going good, make sure they had me hooked to oxygen, make sure my oxygen was good, all that type of stuff. So the next morning at 7 a.m., I was taken to the surgery waiting area. So they took my bed, rolled me down there. My mom and dad are with me. My dad is going crazy. He's scared. My mom's sitting there because she's a nurse. She's just sitting there holding my hand. And you guys can imagine how tired I am. I haven't slept maybe 2 hours, 2 hours and a half the past 2 days. And I was already super drowsy. And the last thing I remember was the anesthesiologist coming in to the waiting area for surgery, putting me on anesthesia, and I'm out like that. I don't remember anything from surgery. I don't remember anything like that. So the surgery took about 7 hours. I know it's really long, but the surgery, what they did, they put a plate and 5 screws in my wrist. That's what this scar is from. They put a plate and 5 screws in my wrist. So here's the journey after surgery. This is where it really, I don't know, it hits, because it's like you can't do anything. So, as most of you guys know, I wasn't at school for a good week to week and a half, and that messed me up already with school, because I had all that work to do once I came back. But I was stuck in the house. I was up on the couch. My arm had to be rested up, ice packed, medicine every 2 hours, ice pack changes. And then after a couple weeks, I'm in that splint. You guys know how it was. I went to the orthopedic surgeon that was one of the doctors in there that did my surgery. He didn't do my surgery, but he was in the room. So he has like his own little, I don't know, his own little thing that he runs in Eastgate where they cast and stuff. So it was like 3 weeks after, I go down there and they put me in a full arm cast. You guys remember if you go to Georgetown. They put me in a full arm cast up to my shoulder. And what they did is they cut the bottom because my arm was so swollen that they can't put just a normal cast on me. So they had to cut the bottom and then wrap it in ACE. So you guys remember that. I was in a sling. And I was in that for probably a good, I don't know, week to 2 weeks. When I went down there the first time to get that full arm sling, they took I had 2 stitches right here that they took out. But these weren't ready to come out. I had probably like 20 stitches right here. They weren't ready. So I still had a full arm cast, stitches on, and a full arm cast. Now tell me how that's going to feel. It didn't feel good. It hurt. So it was about another 2 to 3 weeks. I went back down there. They took off the big cast. And then I finally got those stitches out. And I got into just a wrist cast. As you guys remember, it was green, it was neon green and blue. And after that, I was in that for probably like 6 months. I was in that for a good bit. And it was fine. I mean, not to mention, I broke the same arm twice now. I broke it in 2nd grade and then last year. But I was in it for probably about 6 months. And then when I was in that, we went to Myrtle Beach, okay? We went to Myrtle Beach for vacation during fair. And my doctor specifically said, if you're going to get in the ocean, put a bag around it, alright? Who wants to wear a freaking bag around their arm while they're trying to swim? Not me. You know, you guys know me, the person I am. I ain't going to freaking listen to that. So, me being dumb, I got into the ocean without a bag. Don't do that. Anyways, we were like 3 days in, and my arm was hurting so bad. 3 days into vacation, my arm was hurting bad. So, I did this in 2nd grade, so I tried doing it again. Shoved some Dawn dish soap down in there, got some water on. I slipped that cast right off, right? There was so much sand and gunk in my cast. I had to wash that. And then my arm was, I will insert some pictures for you guys. My arm was green, like green, had green on it. And it like little pimples everywhere. And I was like, what is that from? It was weird, it was gross. And it was just, I don't know, it was nasty. But I got my cast cleaned up, I got my arm cleaned up as best as I could, and I still got in the ocean the next day. So, I put that stuff back on, got in the ocean the next day, and then the vacation was like a 5-day vacation, something like that. We were on our way home. My next appointment with him was the day after we got home from vacation, okay? And we went, and he's like, so did you get in the ocean? And I was like, yeah. He's like, were you wearing a bag? I was like, no. He's like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah. So they cut that cast off, and they make sure everything's good. Then they put me in this black brace that some of you guys should remember if you go to Georgetown. Put me in this black brace, and I was in that for about another 6 months. And it was just a long journey to where I am now. I still have the plate and 5 screws in my arm. I'm able to live my life normally now, but that was just a really scary situation for me. And it was something I never want to experience again, and I hope that none of you guys have to experience, and my future kids don't have to experience. It's just something that I don't wish bad on anybody for them to go through something like that. I will insert some pictures now, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow.